all give a very warm welcome to Mr. Phat Huynh. Thank you.
Right, good morning, welcome back from the break. Thanks Ashan for having me here. It's a real pleasure for me to be presenting to you the point of view of Telekom Austria Group in the sense of where the Internet of Things is going to go in the future. It's a bit of a generic title for such a presentation, for such a congress. I promise to be breaking it down into a little more concrete steps, especially from an operator perspective on where this is going. Maybe just a few words about me and about Telekom Austria Group M2M. I'm not quite sure if you have heard about us as a company before. The M2M unit of Telekom Austria Group has just been launched last year in September. We had been in this business for quite some time, but the business dynamics had really shown the need to focus the resources on our organization, streamline the skills, streamline the experts on the team, and set up a dedicated unit that can handle this business as the core of its own business. Telekom Austria Group, as the name implies, derives from the Austrian incumbent, Telekom Austria. It's the fixed line incumbent in Austria that has grown into the mobile business and grown into the Central Eastern European market over the last decade. This is going to be interesting when discussing about the different assets of the companies that can be used in machine-to-machine. Obviously, fixed line convergent businesses allow the telcos to have a bit of a wider stake in the value chain than just mobile operators only. About me as a person, I've been with Telekom Austria Group for about 5 years now. I've been working in management consulting before that, primarily focusing on strategies for automotive and electronics industry, so it's a bit of a natural fit into that business. I've taken over the lead over the machine-to-machine unit 2 years ago, and subsequently started the spin-off company Telekom Austria Group Machine-to-Machine. Now, why is it such an interesting topic to most of the telecom operators out there? If you look back at the last couple of years in the market, there have been three major trends that we have seen that were driving our business, that are driving our ecosystems. On the one hand side, smartphone, tablets, mobile applications. I don't think I need to talk about this too much. We're talking about cloud solutions, cloud services most of the time. Two trends in the industry that have changed and are still revolutionizing the way users and enterprises are accessing the internet on the go. And we believe that machine-to-machine as an overarching topic is covering pretty much all of the major trends that we are seeing in our industry. Machine-to-machine, taking it to the next level, a completely dedicated device for a completely dedicated use case with data infrastructure in the backend, with terminals and interfaces for the users to handle their applications. It's really something that is going deep into every sector of our business, into every trend of our business, and not just our business, but also a lot of the vertical industries that we are always talking about. And I think in this round, there's not a lot of point in going through each of the verticals individually, but addressing the challenges that we are seeing in this long tail business, in this very fragmented business. The major question that arises is really which vertical is the right one for us to go into, and how do we go into that value chain of each vertical in the sense of geographical extension, in the sense of vertical integration, or in the sense of just providing assets and solutions for each of the vertical industries. And we believe that we have found a framework that helps us to answer these questions, and we believe that we have identified assets that can bring additional value to these verticals other than just cellular connectivity. Now, looking into the future, I think the most important thing is to take a look back to see where we came from and where we are today. And for that, we use sort of a market evolution model that describes 3 steps on how we see the machine-to-machine market evolve. And the first step would be telecom providers being purely connectivity providers for their national services that they have in their footprint. We believe to see that there is a strong internationalization of the connectivity market, and we believe that there is a very strong verticalization of the market, where more and more industry players, vertical industry players are integrating their solutions with telcos and vice versa. And we believe that the market is very soon going to be a global market for end-to-end solutions. We're seeing a lot of the value chain consolidations today already, making it easier for the customers to get end-to-end solutions on a global scale. And coming from that three-step market evolution model, we believe that the plain connectivity business is growing. Definitely it's growing. We have seen in Telekom Austria Group a year-on-year growth of 50% in the last 3 years, and we're expecting this to continue over the next couple of years as well. We have surpassed the 500,000 activations in 2011. So we really do see that the purely national connectivity business by itself is growing very strongly, but we do believe that the price pressure, especially from an international perspective with falling IoTs, with roaming regulations in Europe, is going to bring down the revenues of each SIM out there. The ARPUs that we are seeing today are decreasing rapidly over the time, and we also believe that this is not a sustainable business to be in, and it's definitely not a growth business as such. However, we do believe that with deeper integration into the solutions, there is more value for telecom providers to provide. There is more value that we can bring towards our customers, our partners out there. And this is a step that we call solution enablement. Basically not offering vertical solutions, but offering enablement functionalities for these verticals. Could be hosting solutions, could be IT housing solutions, it could be application enablement platforms offering functional APIs and libraries for the application developers out there to reuse the assets that telcos most of the time already have in their core, but they have never exposed to customers before. So as a second step, we believe that there should be substantial growth from that additional value that we can bring to the customers, and there should be growth from growing internationally. Most of the times we're seeing that the traffic that is being used in machine-to-machine applications is very, very small, allowing us to have a very cost-efficient cost structure even in roaming, which means from our perspective really there is no limitation to where an M2M application can be deployed, can be used. Obviously there are also more high volume applications out there where this is not the case, but for most of the telemetry solutions we're seeing out there, there are no national borders. And lastly, we believe that offering end-to-end solutions is the only sustainable way for operators and solution providers in this business to be competitive in the long run. None of our customers today is interested in having 3, 4, 5 different suppliers for one solution, integrating this solution and getting it up and running and operating it actually. So the end-to-end solution is really the holy grail of where we would like to be. Obviously, not just on an international scale, but on a global scale. And we're seeing that this is not a trend that we have that is a theoretical basis. We're seeing that this is actually the case. We have today in our customer base around 70% solution providers who are buying connectivity services from Telekom Austria Group, while the solution users are the remaining 30%, and this remaining part, the solution users that are buying end-to-end solutions from us as a telecommunication company, is growing dramatically. So we are seeing that we are more and more moving away from providing SIMs to solution providers to providing end-to-end solutions to customers as a prime contractor, as a solution provider ourselves. And this is pushing us from the traditional telco model where we are selling telecommunication services to a completely new competitive business model that requires us to be a solution provider ourselves. Obviously, this is something that we are not designed to do. Telco companies are not here to develop applications. We haven't done this in the past. We are not going to do this in the future. We are not developers of per se. So partnering is really the way to go, and I think this is also undisputed in this room that partnering is one of the new models that is required in order for telecommunications companies and solution providers to be sustainable on the market. And we are seeing different models out there. starting from a traditional supplier relationship where we are buying white label solutions and reselling them to our customers, going over to risk and reward sharing models where we have our sales channels selling partner products in a reward sharing model, all the way through to strategic partnerships where we are working and developing markets together with vertical solution providers, even some joint ventures out there that we are seeing, not necessarily too many in Europe, but in the US it is a trend that's very very strongly developing, that operators are working very closely with startup companies, with solution providers, even with an equity stake in each other to drive this business. Now, this model answers a little bit about where we can grow in the sense of geographic growth. It answers also where we can grow in the sense of vertical growth. What it doesn't answer is what assets can we bring to these models. And I heard earlier the question, how many SIMs are we going to deploy in these M2M solutions? What's the share of cellular connectivity in the 50 billion devices that we're always talking about? This is a valid question, and this is a question that I also had to answer to my management, and we have turned away from this question because we are seeing that this is not the most relevant asset that we are having today. There's a lot more out there that telecom providers can bring to the game, and the cellular connectivity is just the first the first core service that we're bringing to this market, and there's a lot more that we can bring. Now, let's see along this matrix what these opportunities can be and what assets are behind these opportunities that we can leverage, and what customers and partners can expect telcos to bring to the market. I think in the very early days of machine-to-machine, telcos tried to use their existing business models, reselling B2C products. Instead of a mobile phone, sell a wireless picture frame. Instead of a tablet, a laptop, sell an industrial computer whatsoever. In the B2C market, trying to get the solution business. We have seen that there are not many successful projects like this out there. We've seen quite a few actually nice PR projects, but it has never been the mass of the deployments. What we are seeing today is that telcos are going into managed connectivity. Not so much for the B2C business, but really focusing on the enterprise business. Only this is now the biggest initiatives that we are seeing out there in the market, and we are seeing that telcos are moving up the solution chain, as I mentioned before, by partnering with solution providers, with enterprise solution providers, in order to get into that business. And we're seeing some of the telcos actually going into developing their own end-to-end solutions to bring them to the market, but also here focusing very much on the enterprise business. This is what we're seeing today. This is what's already reality. This is still in the early stage, but it's definitely happening. There's a few more things that we can offer, and here this is where I'm coming back to stating that that fixed line and convergent operators have a bit of a better asset than just mobile operators here, because we believe that as a fixed line operator offering IT services, IT outsourcing services, and hosting and housing solutions, this is something that can be a huge asset to the machine-to-machine market itself. Think about a lot of the small, medium-sized enterprises out there that are not interested to run their data centers, to run their server farms. They're not interested to operate them on a 24/7 scale. For them, it would be interesting to have all these out of one hand, meaning the hardware device, the connectivity, the back-end infrastructure, even application platforms where they can develop and run their applications on that, fully as a managed service in the cloud, fully scalable, highly secure. And these are the assets that operators that have been in the IT business before already have in their portfolio and already can bring to the market. What we're seeing today is that none of them is doing this in a really smooth way that operators can offer this to customers as an integrated solution. It's still very much a puzzle game where you can get this part and that solution and bring it together. It's not yet a streamlined end-to-end solution where we can offer this as a proposition to our M2M customers. I mentioned device management earlier. We're seeing a lot of companies today offering device testing, device certification. The real life actually shows that this is one of the most challenging issues out there, to keep up with the updates on the network, to keep up with the firmware updates on the devices, and make sure that the thousands of devices out there are working properly throughout their life cycle of 5 years, 10 years, and even longer. We're talking about solutions where operators can even break it down to the lowest asset that they have, and the lowest asset, I mean the lowest physical asset, site sharing. We have been discussing with a lot of companies out there that are not interested in cellular connectivity for many reasons, technological reasons, radio frequency penetration, network coverage reasons. There's a lot of interest, especially in the smart cities and in the energy area, where they're interested in running their own radio frequency network, and there is mostly a reluctance of operators to go into that business, trying to help a customer set up their own RF network rather than selling them their mobile network. And what we have been piloting in our markets is leasing the site infrastructure that we have, leasing the antennas that we have, leasing the power supply to the site, leasing the IP backhaul connectivity to that site, so that our customers that are using their own RF network because they need it, because they want it, just plug in their antenna, plug in their servers into our racks. It's fully powered, it's fully connected. It's as simple as that. So an asset that most of the operators are not exposing as a product, as a service to their customers, we think can be very, very valuable in the M2M business. And on top of that, there is one huge opportunity that also very few operators are seeing today: field services. As a fixed line operator, we have just in Austria 1,500 field service employees that are out there installing devices in the field. Think about smart metering, think about the EU regulation, think about the resources that you would need to fulfill the requirements for a smart metering rollout within the next couple of years until 2020. It's almost impossible for the companies to build up these resources. And here, operators can help out for the peak, for the rollout period, but also for the maintenance in the long run, to provide these field services, efficient workforce management behind it. We've been doing this for years, rolling out DSL in the households of the customers. This is a resource that we are pushing very strongly in the M2M segment for smart cities, for the energy management business. And on top of that, there's also the market access. So we're not only talking about technical assets, we're also talking about the access to the market in the sense of retail sales channels, in the sense of B2B sales channels, and lastly, also the customer relationship in the sense of identity of the customer. We have billing relationships to the customers that we can use, secure authentication mechanisms using the SIM card in the mobile phone to bring business to the end consumers in a secure way with a billing relationship that help M2M solution providers develop their delivery channels over our customer accesses. So a lot of new fields of business that we can go in, and a lot of assets that telcos can bring into the market, starting from cellular connectivity over management tools, management functionalities for that connectivity, over technical expertise and technical assets that we can bring to the table, and market access, market know-how, customer relationship that can drive the business for machine-to-machine partners and customers alike. So with that in mind, we believe that the future is a bright one. We believe that we are just at the very beginning. Telekom Austria Group machine-to-machine is in this for the long run, because this is something that really needs to be understood. We're not talking about quick wins here. We're talking about developing a market, developing a business, actually developing a multitude of businesses under the umbrella of machine-to-machine over the next decades. And we believe that there are three things that are crucial in order to make this work. On the one hand side, dedicated experts with in-depth know-how of the relevant industries, understanding the customer needs, understanding what assets we have in our portfolio. Most of the operators are not aware of these. Understanding how valuable these assets can be in each of the vertical industry, and understanding how to monetize them. Have a clear strategy on how to develop these assets today to make them monetizable tomorrow. We're starting to train our field force today to install smart meters tomorrow. We are training them today to have certified licenses in order to go out there and do the job of electricians. And this is something, as I mentioned, we need to be ready in time. We need to be in this for the long run. And lastly, we need to do this in a very flexible approach. It's still a very, very early stage in this business, so whatever we do today, the processes, the technology platforms need to be as flexible, as open as possible in order to integrate our customers and partners' processes into ours, so that they have sort of a streamlined and integrated customer experience. So this hopefully did give you a bit of an insight on where we see the market evolving. As I mentioned, still very early stage. It's still mostly connectivity business we're talking today, but it's the strategy, the clear vision, and the assets that we have today where we believe that we can be a sustainable player in the future. So thank you very much. Any questions at this point?
Yes, there's a question in the front, please. Sorry, we didn't realize Timothy would be asking me questions. Just bear with us for a second. Timothy Marsden from Hewlett Packard would like to ask a question, and then apart from him, if there's anybody else, please could you raise your hands? Thank you, Timothy.
Hi, just to add on to your last slide, with the key areas that you need to address in order to really take advantage of the market. When you talked about machine-to-machine experts, obviously you need them to define your strategy and execute. But I think one of the most important things is really the sales enablement. How do you, elevate your sales team today from selling network-based solutions to selling machine-to-machine, vertical-focused solutions? That's the first one. The second one is the marketing side. How do you elevate your profile so that people in the industry, in the market, take you credibly for that? I mean, what I'm getting to here is, I think both require significant investment, and is that something that Telekom Austria is looking at?
Yes, absolutely. On the first question, sales enablement is one of the tasks that we have as a company. We are acting as a competence center, and the first wave and the first contact to our customers is actually not our direct sales force in the M2M unit, but the sales force of our subsidiaries in the markets. They have already the access to the market. They know their customers well. We have B2B market share in Austria of over 70%. We have a B2B market share in all our markets in the Central Eastern area of most of the times over 50%, so absolute market leadership in the business segment, and there we have a great access to this market, and this we need to leverage by enabling the sales force to sell these kind of products. And we call it a line of business of 200 people that are trained. So 200 out of almost 1,000 B2B salespeople are trained for M2M solutions specifically to bring this in the local markets to their B2B solutions. And we have a small sales force on the M2M team that is directly selling to international customers where we have no existing sales force yet. This is the one-hand side where we are leveraging our sales resources, but we are also very strongly pushing the partner sales side with partner models, commission models, revenue share models, as I mentioned earlier, where we're utilizing the expertise, the know-how of our partners, of the solution providers to bring the solutions to the market. And on the second side, on the marketing perspective, this is the greatest challenge that I personally see heading the marketing and sales team, to bring structure into this market, have a clear segmentation of the verticals, have a clear segmentation within the verticals, and see which ones to address quickly. And the spread is really a wide one, from how much of a quick win do I need in order to keep my operations up and running, and how much of strategic business development am I doing on the other hand side for the large projects that we are seeing in the long run in the smart cities, in the energy, in the e-health business, where this is going to take years for the market to really develop. And that stretch is definitely a difficult one for marketing to handle.
Thank you very much. There's another gentleman right at the front, please. And before that, in the middle, please go into your name and company, please.
Marcus Taylor, Foyer Labs. How important do you believe open source is for deployment of embedded devices? If we look at OpenWRT or Geneva and initiatives like that, as a company, do you see that as important for your experts to be able to build custom solutions?
As I mentioned, we're not a developing competence center ourselves, so we're not developing applications and embedded systems for our customers. We do this with partners, and seeing the way our partners approach this business, open source is not yet a topic. Most of the applications that are being developed today are closed environments, closed embedded systems that they are using with the competence that they have built up over the years. We're not seeing necessarily open source as a topic, but we do see that opening application development and application enablement platforms, sort of SDKs for application development, is one of the huge drivers, especially for small, medium-sized, and very customized solutions that need to be developed. And here, open source might be the right way to go, but this needs to be proven yet.
Thank you very much. A gentleman in the front. Thank you. Your name and company, please.
Yeah. My name is Thomas Kemendi, Relicom Group. You mentioned and talked quite extensively about field service as an asset, and particularly in relation to installing metering, etc. Yesterday we heard from Deutsche Telekom about smart homes, the need for services there as well. How do you look at that in your company? And when you talk field service, are you thinking about the same individual doing all of it, or are you going to split the service? How are you looking at this?
I think that's an evolution. Today we are training a small team that is specialized on these topics, but as is required, we will be extending this special training to the whole force. If you look at especially the incumbent operators out there that are partly publicly owned and were monopolist companies in the past, they tend to have more resources, excessive resources than they are actually needing for their operations of the modern networks today. So these resources are at hand, these resources are available and can be utilized much better in the M2M business in growth areas than in the existing telco business that we have. And this is a trend that we're not seeing only with Telekom Austria and Deutsche Telekom as well. This is something that most of the incumbent operators are facing. And if the special training helps utilizing these forces, this is definitely something that we are going to do.
Thank you. There's a final question from a gentleman at the back from Juniper Networks. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Following on to the first question that was asked, actually, what criteria does Telekom Austria sort of apply in terms of determining the vertical priorities that you folks have? Because obviously one of the challenges is machine to machine is there's so many different applications you can specialize in and verticals to pursue and things like that. But from your perspective, specifically from Telekom Austria, how do you set your priorities in a world of finite resources?
Yeah. As I mentioned, this is the actual stretch that we are facing in the marketing to prioritize which ones are the vertical industries that are mature today, that are ready and will quickly deliver active subscriptions out there that are creating revenues. And here we are seeing industries like the telematics, fleet management industries, the security industries, retail, payment, vending industries, where the technology has been out there for quite some time. And it's now really taking a very strong growth path, which helps us increase our activations very quickly. And here we are focusing on these segments with connectivity services only, because the solutions behind it, the applications behind it, they are here, they work well, the solution providers are well positioned, they know what they're doing, they have their sales force, they don't need us that much. So connectivity is here really the focus of our proposition. While in other areas, like in energy, smart cities, health areas, this is a very long-term development. And here we are not selling connectivity, we're not even focusing on connectivity at all. Here we're really trying to develop that business with all the assets we have in order to have a greater stake than just the connectivity business. And we also see that in these areas our assets are being needed much more than in the more mature verticals today. And that spread is really the difficulty to handle with the limited resources that you have at hand. And identifying the right verticals to go into with the right assets and the right level of vertical integration, this is really the challenge. There are also verticals where we as a relatively small operator are not focusing at all. For example, the OEM automotive market, where we believe that there are much more competitive players out there on a global scale than Telekom Austria could ever be. There are players in the consumer electronics, the large consumer electronics companies out there, where we don't think that we would be the right partner for them to bring our assets into the game. So it's really a bit of a judgment call that you have to make on which assets do I have and how much value can I bring to the customers in each of the verticals. And it will be different from operator to operator, and we're seeing different strategies out there. But that is actually the difficulty today.
Thank you. Any other questions for Huynh, please? That's it. Thank you very much, Phat.
Thank you.